Hey everybody, it's the Crypto Lark here. Today we are finally getting to talk to Craig from the team over at Nav. He is the head developer over there. He's going to be sharing with us all of the stuff that's going on over at Navcoin. Craig, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me along.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It's an absolute honor. Now, I think the first place to start off would be for anybody who hasn't really heard a lot about Nav before. Can you just give us the elevator pitch? What is Nav and what do you guys do?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, Navcoin is cryptocurrency, right? It's based on Bitcoin originally. We've been publicly traded since about 2014, and kind of right off the bat, we tried to differentiate a bit from Bitcoin, obviously, and from the other cryptocurrencies out there. So we implemented proof of stake for our mining algorithm. We implemented fast transactions and, of course, lower fees. And with the implementation of proof of stake, it also means that the actual maintenance of the network is very low as well, like in terms of power costs and things like that. So as well as those sort of just fundamental differences, we're, of course, a privacy coin. And all that stuff was sort of really starting to kick off in 2014. And we wanted to develop our own sort of unique solution to solving private transactions. And we built NavTech, which is a dual blockchain-powered private payment platform. And yeah, been sort of working on that, refining it since then, and also adding some extra products to our feature set to try and really hone in on simplifying cryptocurrency, because especially things like privacy, it's really complicated, right? And we're trying to make things simpler, like we've put out our NavPay, Raspberry Pi staking unit. We're just about to put out NavPay, which is like a whole suite of mobile and web wallets. And now we're really sort of, with that kind of solid base of products out there, we're really trying to focus on second-tier products that work on top of our existing systems, like Polymorph for providing private payments for multiple cryptocurrencies, and of course the ADAP platform as well, which extends on the functionality that we've built around our NavTech private payment processor.
Great. Well, we're going to come to the details of some of those different features here in a few minutes.
Yeah,
I got to
sure.
say straight off, though, proof of stake, I love it. You know, it's when you see the statistics about how much energy Bitcoin's using, it's shocking. It really is, you know, so to actually have a proof of stake model is definitely the way forward. Now, you do have to have that staking, you know, it's not just a set it and forget it kind of thing. Now, you guys do offer the Raspberry Pis through your website for anyone who wants to actually buy one of those in order to stake their nav.
Yeah. Yeah, we do. We also just offer the straight up image for that as well. So if anyone has their own Raspberry Pi and they want to install it on there, it's pretty easy. You just flash it onto your SD card. Yeah, I mean, the power consumption of proof of work is just through the roof. I mean, you see it coming through every day now. What was it that Bitcoin mining takes more power than the entire country of Ireland or something? You know, like it's ridiculous. Whereas, you know, you can run one of these NavPis which maintains the network for like cents a week. It's definitely a much more eco-friendly option and something we're really interested in.
That's great. That's great. Now, Nav's solution to privacy is dual blockchains. So basically, I would send you a transaction, it would get switched over to the second blockchain and then switch back over, something like that, to end up to you. Why did you choose that over, like, you know, for example, this year, the really popular thing, everyone's doing it, ZK Snarks, it's a good time. Are you guys going to implement this, or do you think that the dual blockchain has certain advantages over those other privacy features?
Yeah, well, I mean, at the time when we developed this originally, ZK Snarks hadn't been invented yet, right? And it is a really cool technology, and it definitely provides some interesting stuff. Like, I mean, the fact that you can encrypt the inputs into a transaction, and then that can be verified without the miner even knowing what the inputs to a transaction are. It's definitely interesting technology. It's all still very complicated and very new as well, you know. You really have to be, once you start digging into how it works under the scene, you really have to be essentially like a mathematician to really get how it works. So the fact that it's so complicated and so new, we're a little bit hesitant to sort of implement it into some of our technology just at the minute. I mean, our approach is different to to the other coins like ZK Snarks and also, you know, XMR with ring signatures and one-time derivatives of things. All super interesting technologies. Our kind of approach is that we want to provide a different, the real ethos of it was to provide a different way that other people weren't doing. Just providing sort of security through the fact that there's multiple different ways, and users can pick what suits them and what's sort of right for them, I guess.
Yeah, that's great. You know, I really like that actually. It's everyone else is doing ZK Snarks, so do something different. Do your own thing, and that's powerful too, actually, I think. Now, a lot of excitement recently has been around NavPay. So can you tell us a little bit exactly what is NavPay and why should we be excited about that?
Yeah, sure. Well, NavPay is something we've been working on for a while now, and it's pretty close to being released. We've been running a beta test for it for the last 6 weeks or so, and we're hoping to release the full public launch before Christmas. Essentially, it started out as a fork from the CoPay web wallet family, and you know, it's essentially a thin client for transacting with Navcoin, and it's fully JavaScript based, which is quite quite unique and also really easy to work with and really easy to make cross-platform, right? So we're able to work on one code base, and we're able to put it out as a web wallet and as a mobile wallet and as a desktop wallet and all these things. So we sort of started off with the base of CoPay, and then of course we added in our own features. So we've also added in the NavTech private payments into the NavPay wallet, which means you'll be able to send private transactions directly from your mobile device. So that's probably the most exciting feature, I think, of it. It's also just, very easy to use. It's a thin client, so you don't have to download the entire blockchain, but you still do all of the important security stuff on your actual device, so you're always in control of your private keys. You've got the recovery seed phrases and all that good stuff as well.
Awesome, awesome. It's nice, nice addition to the Nav package overall, I think. Now, one other thing that I found very interesting is Polymorph. Now, can you tell us what is Polymorph and how is that working and how is that going to work?
Yeah, sure. So this sort of comes under what I said at the start in terms of our second tier products. So the idea of this is that we've engaged Changely, who's an instant exchange in a partnership for this project. And essentially what we want to do is be able to use our NavTech private payment processor to process any of the 35 cryptocurrencies that they have up for public exchange. Essentially how it works sort of behind the scenes is you can create an order with Polymorph, and you could send Bitcoin, which will get exchanged with Changely into Navcoin, and then the Navcoin goes through our private payment processor, and then it can get exchanged back into Bitcoin or Litecoin or whatever you want out the other end as well. So we're sort of using Nav and NavTech as a middleman between any of these cryptocurrencies that they are able to exchange in order to provide private payments for multiple currencies like Bitcoin or Litecoin or Dash or whatever.
Great. So essentially, if I walk into a shop and they accept Litecoin, for example, I can pay using Polymorph with my Navcoin, essentially.
Yeah, absolutely, because it works with instant exchange as well. So the input could be Nav, and the output could be Litecoin, or the input could be Bitcoin and the output Litecoin as well. Yeah, you've got all of those sort of options. You can choose what goes in and what goes out, and essentially we convert it all to and from Nav and send it through our private payment gateway.
Awesome. That's really, in a lot of ways, I think the future for digital currency payments is technology like this, because if somewhere only takes Bitcoin and you're an Ethereum Dash Litecoin Nav enthusiast, for example, you're kind of out of luck. But with this, you can come in and say, oh, okay, you take Bitcoin, that's fine. Let me just polymorph it, send it over, and that makes, of course, the whole process very easy.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things that really got me excited about the Nav project was ADApps, anonymous dApps. Now,
sure.
Can you, I know you guys are still working on the white paper and it's still a bit in development for exactly what that's going to look like, but can you kind of tell us what you've got so far, what your vision is for it, what will be the use cases for it, for example?
Sure. Well, anonymous dApps, if anyone's unfamiliar with the term, ADApps simply stands for Anonymous Decentralized Applications. And the whole project sort of came from looking how we can expand the capabilities of the second blockchain that we use to process NavTech private payments. At the moment, NavTech essentially operates as a decentralized application that sort of sits on top of its own blockchain. But yeah, we want to sort of open that up and allow other people to build encrypted applications on top of that blockchain, the same way that we've built NavTech on top of it. So, you know, we've been planning this for quite a while, and we're looking to release more public information about it next year. But yeah, the technical side of it's all pretty much hammered down. When we started looking at this platform, we really also sort of surveyed the existing landscape of app platforms and dApp platforms, and tried to figure out how we could sort of, you know, not just replicate them, but really improve them. So we're hoping that what we're going to release is going to solve a lot of the issues that are seen in current dApp platforms, as well as providing sort of extended privacy features to both application developers and application users. We've designed a encrypted communication protocol that sits on top of the network that essentially allows people to communicate with apps without knowing their location, their physical location, just by communicating with them by their public key address, and the same when an application's communicating back to a user, they won't actually know where they are. So it really helps to disconnect the user from the application and protect their privacy. Part of what we've been trying to achieve as well, along with, you know, the ethos of what we do at Nav is really around simplifying things. So we're trying to simplify building these dApps, right? Because at the moment it's a hugely complicated thing, right? You essentially have to be an economist and a cryptographer and a developer as well, and like all of these things just to get a simple dApp sort of up off the ground with no flaws in your contracts and all these types of things. Mm-hmm. So we're really looking at how we can simplify that process and also lower the barrier to entry to developers. So we've kind of designed it in such a way that you could build your dApp in any language that you're currently familiar with. We're going to be largely targeting JavaScript and sort of web technologies because they're higher saturation in terms of developers. And yeah, really just try and make it sort of easy for people to develop on these platforms.
I'm glad you mentioned that about the languages, because that was going to be my next question. What programming languages does it use? But that's awesome. So it's going to be very user-friendly for developers, give that privacy potential. I really like it. I think this is a really powerful feature of Nav overall as a project. I mean, obviously the cryptocurrency is great and NavPay is great, but actually providing this platform where people are going to be able to come in and build on top of it, that's really cool. I really like that. That's great.
Yeah.
Now, recently you've launched a community fund. Well, I guess the community fund vote. Now, has that vote finished yet?
So the vote's still ongoing. We originally only slated it for 4 weeks. We've had quite an overwhelming positive response by the community on it. One of the issues is that to cast your vote, you need to update your wallet. So there's a bit of a communication gap, really communicating with some of the people who are staking coins to get them to vote. Mm-hmm. When you look at actually the numbers of people who are voting and how they're voting, it's overwhelmingly in support of the community fund. Something like, you know, 92% of people voting are voting for it. So we've extended the community vote out, and we're just trying to get hold of people who are still using old wallets and getting them to update and have their say. Because, of course, you know, we're a community-driven coin in the end of the day, and we really do care about what our community thinks, and we don't want to just railroad stuff through, especially when it affects how much they will be taking in their stake rewards. Mm-hmm. So, you know, we're really conscious about that, and we want to make sure that everyone's informed and everyone is able to have their say in it.
Great. Yeah, and for anyone who kind of hasn't been up to date on that, currently, and I suppose previously soon, Nav is a 5% yearly staking reward. That's going to be dropping to 4%, with 1% of that staking reward now going to fund the community fund.
Yeah.
Now, what are the plans? What are you going to do with that 1%?
Well, all of that, all of those coins that are generated, they don't just exactly go directly to us. They get locked into a fund which can't actually be spent without a network consensus on how the funds are being spent. Mm-hmm. So they essentially go into a pool of a community wallet that people can create proposals around how it's spent. You know, and of course we are a community-based coin. We had no pre-mine or ICO, and we currently are self-funded, and we have like 6 full-time staff. So there's a bit of a financial burden there. So we will, you know, propose things into the community fund that will help fund our existing roadmap, and also help fund marketing initiatives and help fund future projects as well. But, you know, it's not really all about us, and even the projects that we put forward would have to be voted on by the community. So it really is sort of taking even the development, even though we're doing a lot of the development, taking the development decisions around what we build and what's valuable to the community really back into the hands of the community. But they'll also be able to submit proposals themselves, right? So anyone will be able to submit a proposal. And we're really hoping that it'll sort of just encourage the community to get involved more and to, you know, we're open source and we live by that ethos as well. We've got developers contributing to our code bases, and we really want everyone to get involved and sort of take ownership of this project a bit more and get paid for the work that they're doing. So
very cool. Community funds are really important. You see what goes on with Bitcoin now, and you know, Bitcoin Core essentially has to get, you know, donations every year to ensure that they can, you know, pay people to sit there and make sure the code's up to date. And that's a crazy situation for the world's most valuable cryptocurrency. Situations like you're setting up, I mean, DashPay, they've got a great situation set up as well to fund themselves. You have to self-fund, and I think this is great that the community actually approved of saying, yes, let's do this, we need to have the funding. And there's so many things, of course, that you can spend that funding on. You know, marketing, obviously. And maybe that's what we can move our next question into. What sort of marketing are you looking at moving forward? You know, is there any way, for example, to leverage, you know, brand New Zealand onto NavPay? Are you trying to make it non-geographic?
Well, you know, our core team is in Auckland, New Zealand. So we do have other members from other places around the world. And of course, cryptocurrencies are totally global. So we don't really necessarily peg ourselves just to here. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, Kieran is now on board full time as our marketing director, and he's only been on board in a full time capacity for about 3 weeks now. So we've really been sort of having huge amounts of planning sessions, trying to figure out how we're gonna move the marketing of Navcoin forward. And you know, there's just so many sort of aspects of it, I guess. Like, you know, we've got our product roadmap, so we're trying to build really good content around the products, tutorials and press releases, and contact influencers and journalists, and get people sort of interested in our product set, and time all that to when the product releases are happening, with NavPay getting released in December, and then, you know, the community fund hopefully launching early next year, and we've got Polymorph and ADApps, and we've got this big roadmap that we've sort of mapped out of the timeline of all these products. And there's a huge amount of content and work to be done in supporting those. And then, you know, there's the daily tasks in terms of social media and community management, and then there's like long-term branding strategies as well, in terms of how do we just get this out to a wider audience that doesn't know about crypto necessarily. And I think that sort of side of things is probably going to be really where we do start to use our geographical location as a test case. You know, New Zealand's pretty small. There's a lot of sort of small businesses and things here which could really benefit from crypto, and we're on the ground here as well. So in terms of getting like point of sale systems and online retailers and all that type of stuff, we can definitely focus some of that around Auckland and around the rest of New Zealand. And with proof of stake, we are very eco-friendly cryptocurrency. So if the whole clean green New Zealand thing still stands, we can potentially leverage that angle as well.
That's good. You know, you use what you got. Absolutely. Yeah, I think I was thinking about this earlier when I was trying to come up with some, you know, what we're going to talk about today, and I was thinking, wow, New Zealand is really a great test case because it is a small country. It's a connected country for cryptocurrency as a payment method. You know, and obviously Bitcoin is problematic because massive transaction fees and things like this. I think, oh, what cryptocurrency could step in to fill that gap? Navcoin.
Yeah, well, you know, we've been around for a while. We have a good track record. We got fast transactions, low fees, all that sort of stuff. It does really fit the bill. And there are some businesses who are interested in working with cryptocurrency now. You know, it's kind of hard because, like, yeah, we are a small country, and we are good for like pilot programs and stuff like that. But also, you know, a lot of our legislation's behind a lot of the saturation of cryptocurrency is still very low. Not that many people sort of know about it. A lot more people sort of getting to understand it and hearing about it, especially with Bitcoin price going through the roof over the last 9 months.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, it's still very much in its infancy. So it's something that we are hoping to help drive forward as well. And yeah, we just sort of have to see how those interpersonal connections with other business and thought leaders and stuff sort of pan out over the next year, I guess.
Yeah, very interesting. I know there's people who are interested in this without a doubt. For example, I've been in contact with like Gareth Hughes from the Green Party. Hopefully I'll get him on one day to actually talk to him. But, you know, it's the government's interested as well. So, you know, it's about making those right connections, you know, and I can actually add a lot of value to the project overall, having it used by businesses. You know, walk down the streets in Auckland, go, oh, hey, I can pay a nav over here at this boutique or that flower shop or this bar. I can go buy a beer with Nav. That'd be really cool to see. Personally, I'd love to see that. So
we did start that a little bit last year. We did our Nav Coin conference in a bar in Kingsland, which they have a Bitcoin ATM there in Newton, sorry, and we set them up with the Nav Coin payment system and got them accepting Nav, and those were the first beers ever bought with Nav Coin over the counter. So that was pretty cool. I mean, you know, we are also really focusing on the fact that Nav Coin is a cryptocurrency, and we want to sort of really build on its utility as a currency and as a payment platform as well. So we're definitely looking into, you know, extending our capabilities in terms of payment gateways and debit cards and merchant adoption and all that kind of stuff. In parallel with, you know, working towards increasing, well, firstly building and then increasing usership of the ADAP platform, which, you know, is kind of quite a different beast to a simple cryptocurrency. But we're going to be working on both these things in parallel and try and sort of build up the profiles of each of these pieces of technology as we go along.
That's awesome. Now, I have seen that Uquid, which is a debit card company for cryptos, they're incorporating Nav, so that's really exciting.
Yeah. And so we were on them previously, but you know, a lot of these debit cards have had problems with their issuers pulling them for like AML and KYC concerns. And Uquid is one of the ones which has been able to secure another deal with the provider, and they're offering a couple of different levels. I think you can either do it just without registration, which has like some kind of cap on how much you can use it, and then you can actually fully AML compliant, send them proof of address and all that type of thing, and then you get like unlimited spending power through their debit card payment provider. So they're about to relaunch that, and Navcoin's part of that system. So we're hoping with the resurgence of that, it's really going to up the utility value of Navcoin as well, because you'll be able to use it anywhere where where credit cards are accepted, basically.
Which is pretty awesome, without a doubt. Now, has there been any conversations about trying to get Nav onto a hardware wallet, working to get that on Ledger or working to get that on the Trezor, for example? Yeah,
so very interesting. I just bought a Nano S not that long ago. I'd had a Keep Key and a few other bits and pieces around, and I'm really impressed with the Ledger Nano S, to be honest. I think it's a awesome little piece of hardware and software as well. I guess one of the issues with putting your Nav coin on a cold wallet is that you're not staking them, and it is a proof of stake network. So anyone with substantial holdings, we kind of try and encourage to stake their coins, I guess, because it provides network security and it also earns the money and all these types of things. So there's a little bit of a misalignment of goals in terms of what their use cases are. But we have been researching into what's called cold staking. I'm not sure if you've heard of that.
I have heard about that. It's pretty interesting. But tell us a little more about it.
Yeah, so you can essentially like put your coins into cold storage, and then you can authorize the use of those coins as a staking input without them having to sort of actually be in a hot wallet and be live. So if we're able to implement cold staking and have that kind of private key signature authorization happen on our consensus mechanism, then it would enable things like the ledger, and for people to be able to store their coins more securely while they're staking. I mean, we offer the NavPay, which is the Raspberry Pi that runs a really security conscious version of Linux and very locked down and those types of things, but it is still connected to the internet with like your coins in it. So there's always going to be some security risk in running any type of hot wallet. So, you know, as a proof of stake coin, we're really interested in cold staking, and we are looking at ways to potentially implement that in Nav Coin, and then get on board with these hardware style wallets as well.
Very cool. Very cool. Now, the final questions here I have for you, I suppose, are about exchanges. Now, I've seen that. Have you already been listed on Upbit? Is that correct?
So Upbit, they have a Nav BTC pair, but from what I understand, it's essentially a proxy for Poloniex. So the trades that are listed on there are, like a mirror of what's on Poloniex, and you trade through them, but it's kind of like through the Poloniex API. And they do that for a lot of coins, I think, and then it makes their exchange look more active and all that type of stuff. But we're very interested in engaging with the Korean community, and you know, it's a big new sort of place that's really opening up to cryptocurrency. And they are going to be opening a Korean won pair. They haven't given us a date yet, but yeah, they're going to be opening that up soon. So that will be actually natively trading on their exchange. So we're pretty excited about that.
That'll be pretty big. Obviously, the Korean markets has been a major driving factor this year. If you were to talk about it on top 5 trends in cryptocurrencies this year, Korea would definitely be on that list.
Yeah.
And I see that there is a community drive going in order to get Navcoin listed over on Binance. Now, am I correct in what I've seen that it's a $50,000 listing fee?
Yeah, so I think it's actually 60,000 USD, but it's quite expensive, and you know, obviously it takes time and effort to integrate any coin into an exchange, but you know, we are a community coin, as I said before, no pre-mine, no ICO, so we're operating solely out of our self-funded funds and community funds and stuff like that. So it's quite a lot of money, and it's definitely something which we sort of feel like if we had $60,000 to spend on something, we could probably have add more value to Navcoin through spending that in other ways. But yeah, the community's really rallied around this. I mean, Binance is one of the top sort of 5 or 6 exchanges in terms of volume in that globally. So getting on there would be really good for Navcoin. And we have been in communication with Binance about adding us. And we are trying to work out some kind of arrangement with them. So I can't really say too much more about it until we've finalized the details, but just keep tuned for that. We've got some good news coming out about that soon.
That's really cool. You know, the one thing that I saw on when cruising around the boards was actually that how much the communities come together on this. People are actually donating their money, saying, yes, take my money, go and let's get listed. Let's make this happen. And I think that's really cool. And I think that just shows the incredible strength of the Navcoin community, that people are actually willing to put up their own money just to see it get listed on an exchange. I think that's really awesome. Yeah,
I mean, we love our community, and I started out as, we're all part of the community as well. A lot of our devs that are still with the team today have sort of risen up from the community, and we're very much community focused, and I think that kind of comes through with the level of transparency we have with our weekly updates and how detailed it is. And we're really kind of like, even when there's not massive news, we're just trying to keep everyone abreast of what we're doing. And, you know, we've built a lot of trust and a lot of engagement with our community, especially over the last sort of 6 to 12 months. And yeah, we want to continue to honor that and continue to have our community trust us and help us and everyone to move forward sort of together, you know?
That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, Craig, I know your time is very valuable. I just want to say a big thank you to, you know, taking your time today to sit down and, you know, talk through some of the key points on Nav. I know a lot of people really have been looking forward to us sitting down and chatting, so this has been really great, and I hope we can catch up in the future. You know, when we see ADAPs roll out, we can have another little catch up and, you know, talk about the details of it when everything gets finalized. It'd be really exciting.
Absolutely, definitely keen. And yeah, we've got so much going on over the next few months. So just hit us up whenever you want, and we'll try and book in another interview for sure.
Yeah, awesome. That'd be awesome. And to everyone out there and, you know, subscriberland, make sure you guys are following along with all the latest Navcoin news. Follow them on Twitter, join the Reddit, you know, reach out. You guys have a Slack and a Telegram going, I imagine?
We actually shut down our Slack due to all the spam and stuff that sort of has been happening on
there.
Fair
enough, Slack's a mess.
We transitioned to Discord, actually, which has a lot sort of better user control. But for all of our community sort of channels and stuff, just jump on navcoin.org. There's a community section at the bottom of the homepage that sort of has all of our social links and stuff like that.
Okay, awesome, awesome. Craig from Nav, everybody. Thank you so much for taking the time. This has been great.
Thank you.
Bye.